Hey, what's up? My name's Lucas. I'm a photographer and filmmaker based out of West Michigan. Welcome to my channel. Today, we'll be talking about how I set up my Leica SL2 and SL2S to shoot photo and video side by side. There's a few settings that I've changed and adjusted so that I can move from photo and video really quickly. We're going to be jumping into the menu system first and getting the cameras set and ready to go to best optimize them to switch from photo to video as quickly as possible while having your settings locked in. I will be using my SL2 for the demonstration, but everything works on the SL2S. Not sure about the SL3. The first thing you're going to want to do is set up your custom buttons. I have my video photo switcher set to the default spot, which is the top left button on the camera. That just makes things easy as I'm switching between the cameras. The other thing that I do for photos is I always shoot in RAW and I shoot my videos in L-Log. My video 99% of the time, unless I'm shooting 5K on the SL2, is set to 4K 23.976 150 megabytes per second 422 10-bit internal recording. So you can switch the settings independently on photo and video. I have the video recording mode set to cine instead of video. What that does is it allows you to film using shutter angle instead of shutter speed, so you can keep that at 180 and honestly not touch it. That is going to give you the best motion blur and the best just the best shutter speed or the best shutter angle for the video that you're shooting. If you switch between 60 frames per second or 50 frames per second or anything like that, then it will automatically adjust the shutter speed to be at 180 degrees, and that just helps save time and helps you move faster when you're on set or shooting an event. In photo settings, I have my thumb wheel set to my aperture and my top wheel set to shutter speed. On video, I keep my thumb wheel on aperture, but I switch my top wheel to be ISO or ASA in cine mode. This allows me, if I am in a low light situation or I need to just bump the exposure up a little bit, then I'm able to just use the top wheel instead of pressing extra buttons to adjust my ISO. Then the kind of real secret sauce that I use in this setup is I will keep my photos on autofocus single, and then I will move my video into manual focus. What this allows me to do is save where the last focus point was in photo, because the Leicas are definitely better at finding focus when you are in photo mode. It's a little bit faster than when you switch over to video mode. All you have to do is press the shutter and you're recording instead of pressing the shutter, and then it kind of starts hunting and searching. If you are in video mode and you need to adjust the focus, then you can press this back button to focus, and that is super helpful. A lot of times I'm filming in broad daylight or around golden hour, so the contrast detect autofocus does perform significantly better. When I'm shooting photo and video back and forth, for photo I use spot focus. I use the spot focus mode. That way, like, a lot of times there's multiple people in a shot. I love having face detect for when I'm shooting by myself or trying to photograph myself, but a lot of times when there's a lot of things going on, I have one specific spot where I want focus to hit, and so using the spot mode really helps with that. When I am shooting outside, I use a variable ND filter, and that is generally a 2 to 5 stop variable ND, and then I can switch and change my exposure that way, so I can keep both ISO 800 on photo and video, even in broad daylight. It really helps retain highlight detail and allows me to bump my shutter speed on photos so that I can get nice, sharp, beautiful images. Kind of random tip, if you are shooting a lot of handheld photos, then trying to keep your shutter speed above the focal length that you are shooting will help reduce the shakes and the jitters in camera. So if you're shooting at 50 millimeters, then you'll want to stay above 1/60th of a second for your shutter speed. If you're shooting at 200 millimeters, you'll want to stay above 1/250th of a second of shutter speed. That's just a really helpful hint that I keep in mind while I'm shooting so that I can get sharper images. Obviously, when you switch to video, if you're shooting 24 frames per second, then it's going to be around 1/48th of a second for your shutter speed, but that motion blur is definitely welcomed in video to give a little bit more of an organic feeling, to show how your eyes would most naturally see the scene. As far as the settings go, that's really it. Honestly, it doesn't need to be the exact same as me. You can put that button anywhere, but just as long as it's consistent and you know where that button is, so you can switch between photo and video. The reason that I find it so important to set up your camera on the front end and really find a system and practice that system is because these cameras, when you switch between photo and video, there is a little bit of a delay. I've said it before, these cameras are, I think, the best cameras on the market today for hybrid shooting, but there are some quirks in it. So when you stop recording, it does take a second to be able to switch back to photo. So those are things that you kind of want to keep in mind while you're out shooting and filming, because it's those are the types of things that could potentially lead to missing shots or slight frustrations while you're filming. So one of the reasons that I like having my shutter speed or my ISO and aperture to be pretty much matching between photo and video is for that speed. If I am exposed for a scene in video and I switch over to photo, 90% of the time I can just start taking pictures, or I can start taking pictures and then switch to video and then start recording a video. When you are shooting fast-paced environments, those split seconds can make a huge difference in getting the shot or not getting the shot. So that's why I personally like having the ISO a little bit higher. Plus, these cameras can handle it really well. Even the Leica SL2 with the larger megapixel sensor can handle higher ISOs very well. At the end of the day, it is your decision on how you want to shoot. I have a feeling that there's not a whole lot of people that are using these cameras in the exact same way that I'm using them. One of the things that's nice about the SL2 and SL2S, maybe if you aren't as familiar with video, this is kind of a hindrance to you, but it records in Rec 2020 instead of Rec 709. So you're actually getting more color information than you would on a different camera that's recording at Rec 709, and then you are converting it to Rec 709, which there is an argument to be made that if you're going to be converting it to Rec 709 anyways, then what's the point? But one of the things that I like to do is record at higher resolutions than what I need, higher information than what I need, and then bring it down in post into more manageable files. So having that extra light information, having that extra color information is, you can see it specifically in skies, in highlights, in the way that things transition from dark to light. There's going to be less banding. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I make a video every Friday about photography and filmmaking and the cameras that I use. So if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe. It really does make a huge difference, and I'll see you in the next video.